Born, birthed in fire, sun riper, Kundalini mountain climber. Outside the circles of time is where you find us. Crystal moon temple, Gnostic food dawn. I use mental jujitsu, cut through you do simple. Yasuke, Afro samurai, read the Necronomicon. Wake the dead, reach from beyond, behind the veil. Unleash the hidden power of your subconscious inside yourself. Hard to tell the real from the AI generated. Trying into a black mirror, my soul I penetrated. Unlocking this mystery to the simulation. The alchemist cookbook, the Olmecs codex, pyramid text. Exploring the world, a lucid dream and extrasensory perception.
I gotta get it how I live and made a promise that my future maker for the time that I ain't getting back. Our Father Heavenly, he said he paid my dues in cash. Been searching for the promised land, I think I lost some left. The engine, ready to go, hitting the road, stick to my soul. Ready the coast, east to the west, know that I'm hitting the goal. Hand of the God, only hand that I hold. Pressure on back, feel like glitter the globe. Lifting my intellect, leading my soul. Leading the pack on the way that I know. I get the feeling, hit the ceiling when the plane go down. It's like that empty cabin feeling when the drugs run out. The quenching thirst around the planet, love is in a drought. My heart can stand the holy water in this desert out.
You should probably keep your eyes closed. From the gutter with some high hopes. I live my whole life on a tightrope. You only see me if I let you. My only fight is for survival. I know they coming like the next move, but I am vicious as the cycle. And if I didn't know I meant to, in the ether I've been dipping my toes. They not tryna fuck with A-Rule. Them niggas running get they Bibles. There is no one that you are a threat to. And I don't wanna see you die slow. There's no one coming to your rescue. And you don't wanna let that die.
Welcome to B University, where we stay true no matter the adversity. Flow like water, I just hope you keep up. Been recruiting, you ain't soldier enough. Keep my dreams with me loaded and tucked. Feel like 50 got that formula, yeah. Saint Laurent leathers over the phase, so self-made. You ain't focused enough, I've been dream chasing. Visions of me on that front page. Double XL with a blunt blaze. On that vote with Masuda shades. Front of GQ with kid super jeans. People think you can't be happy and you can't be conscious if you like material things. I shake my head to that nonsense. I know that I'm Gaza, of course I'm a Judah king. I just caught me a sip.
All right, we back. What's up with the family? Peace and chaos. Shout out to my YouTube family. We are here. Give me a thumbs up if my mic is good. Give me a thumbs up real quick. Y'all make sure y'all share the video. A lot of things happening. A lot of things are happening right now. We got to lock in and cover these things. Peace, peace. What's going on? I see Ty, Howard, Jarvian, Joseph, Sherry, Maine. I see y'all up in there. Cosmic Crystal, Valerie, Soul. I see y'all up in there. Yep, it's a Friday. I don't usually go live on Fridays, right? But I wasn't going to leave the family out too long. We haven't been on here in a month. We had to get it popping. You know, and forgive me if there's any connection problems. You know, we've been talking about on Patreon how there's been so much rain and thunderstorms the past few months. Every time I get on a video, I have to apologize because it's real loud outside. There's a lot of thunder and rain. And then I discovered that they've been playing with the weather so much that the original Tornado Alley is no longer in Central America regions. Is moving towards the East Coast now. The East Coast is about to be Tornado Alley in the next few years. So that's kind of crazy. But anyways, we haven't touched bases in a while. Goddamn World War III is popping off right now. So you already know we had to go live with recent events, with the bombing of Iran, and now Iran bombing Israel and all of this type of shit. Crazy, right? Yeah, we're going to cover it. Just a few announcements. Make sure you guys review those interviews. I did a couple of interviews within the past month or so. The recent ones, like on Brother Rich channel. If you haven't checked it out, you can go to Black Magic 363. You can go to my other brother Michael's channel, Beyond the Forbidden TV, and make sure you go by Six Sensory Podcast and check out the interview I did on there as well. And we're getting ready to do a big Truth Mafia reunion type thing. So we're going to get a big video next week, possibly on Friday. It's going to be around the time my brother is getting married next week. So I'm going to be on the beach for that interview when it happens. My brother is getting married on the beach. So it's going to be a lot of family time and enjoying, you know, all of that, all the festivities. Also, make sure you're on Patreon reviewing the latest Maituna lectures, how to create cosmic union in the tantric rite, sexual irradiation that forms Merkava travel, and the tantric physics of Shaivite tradition. Also, the last video, the Shem angels. We broke down the 72 Goetia chakras in the pineal gland. Yeah, so we've been real busy with videos on Patreon. So if you're waiting too long on YouTube to catch up with the videos, Patreon, you can go on there right now, subscribe to the Patreon, and get all of that gnosis, all of that that knowledge that we're dropping on there. So also, sacred plants. We announced a new product that we have with the sacred plants. You can go on any of my social medias, or you can go to startribe777gmail.com and contact me about the sacred plants and our new products and astrological readings, Vedic astrological readings. I'm going to tell you guys a story about a goddess later that I did an astrological reading for with her transits and everything. And man, she had some rare gifts, and it just flowed right into the lecture of what I'm speaking about today. And I saw it in her chart, but when she spoke to me, it kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to share a story about that a little bit later on. So I ain't going to hold y'all with that. That's pretty much the announcements. Tonight's lecture title is The Naga Codes, Unveiled, Sovereignty, Timelines, and Serpent Somatonetics. You know, in Naga Somatonetics, I'm coming out with a book, by the way, YouTube. If you guys haven't heard on Patreon, I'm getting a book ready right now for this year, where I'm about to do a big workbook on everything you've heard on this channel, everything we covered on Patreon. I'm going to condense it into a active working workbook, a reality engineering, magical, how to live your life magically, techniques, mantra techniques, tantric techniques, anything you can probably imagine that we covered. I'm gonna fit it all into a book, primarily through the NAGAPATHU system. A lot of people want to know how it works and what Naga physics is. What are the Nagas? We're going to talk about that today. That's going to be in the book as well. I'm going to cover somatonetics in the book, hyperdimensional physics, the Titans, everything that we speak about. But specifically, Naga somatonetics in our system. We're speaking about an esoteric technology of the embodied serpent, not the serpent litigated into the theological Judeo-Christian perspective of, you know, dogmatic morality of what the serpent is. We're speaking on physics of it, the actual physics, like the Calabi-Yau manifold that you see in this picture right now. There's physics to the serpent. We're speaking of Syrian consciousness, The activation of the primordial Naga intelligence is through your cellular memory, your breath currents and waveform implosion. So the practice of this is how to decode your reality through the somatic intelligence of the Titan cosmological model that we showed you guys. I still have the model down here. If you haven't seen it, I think I showed it on Brother Rick's show, but if not, it's all good. Where is that model? It's cool. I'll just show you guys this one. Well, that's not the model. Hold on. I know I put the model in here somewhere. Hold on, guys. Where is that model? I know it's hiding somewhere on the stream. Or maybe it didn't download yet. Sometimes it takes my computer an extra few minutes to download these things. But there's a model I have of the Titans. You've seen it on Patreon. I don't know which file it's in, but you've seen it on Patreon where I showed you the cosmology of the Titans. And it's going to be important for you to understand that as far as the aeons and Gnosticism pertaining to yourself. We also cover the sovereign timelines. What is a sovereign timeline? It's emerging from the practice of a self-authored pathway of incarnational and dimensional navigation, realities that aren't hijacked by archonic strips and mass consensus timelines, but is shaped through tachyonic intent, shadow integration, and harmonic coherence of Oshulu's field. You got to learn what Oshulu is. In context of Oshulu, Oshulu is the primordial androgynous intelligent field, the serpentine monad from which all sovereign timelines, light crafts, soul seeds emanate. So it's not defined as a deity in an anthropocentric sense. It's more of a quantum conscious source being that we speak of, encoded with the melanic waveform intelligence that functions as a 0-point generator of the Naga somatenetic current. So basically, Oshulu is the living archive of pre-temporal gnosis, whose frequency harmonizes the sovereign soul's path through what waveform implosion is that Dan Winter speak on. Dream gates, I speak about. A lot of you are having a lot of dreams of parallel realities of yourself. That's the dream gates. And dimensional co-residence to align with Oshulu is to exit the false cosmoi and restore the soul's contract with the undivided becoming. But we'll get into that. Just want to give a brief introduction to a couple of things. We did have a full moon, and it was the lowest full moon that you will ever see until the year 2043. And out of this full moon, you got all of this damn chaos happening. World War III and everything. The full moon, we're talking Purnima. Astrologically, this specific moon, the strawberry moon, it aligns in Vedic astrology with Jyeshta Nakshatra and Anuradha, and is ruled by deities of power, occult knowledge, and devotion. That's Indra and Mitra. But we must understand from a plasma science of what the moon is, that the moon is not simply a reflective rock, but it's a conscious plasma lens that bends light. It also bends emotion and psychic charge through Earth's magnetosphere. So during full moons, like the last one we had, the moon's plasma sheath or ionized double layer becomes hyperactive, generating a toroidal emotional vortices that can entangle with the subtle bodies of us in the collective noosphere. So this makes the strawberry moon, it was a powerful, vulnerable time in the plasma psyche interface. And with all of this destructive energy occurring within the past few days, we must know that lunar plasma discharge attracts egregoric parasites. So we're speaking about egregoric parasites, and we covered this a little bit on Patreon, like on Monday. What do these parasites do? So entities or thought forms that feed on emotionally polarized plasma emissions are what egregoric parasites are. So these egregores form collective emotional outpourings, and it's often exacerbated as a mass ritual, like holidays, festivals, or media events. And these parasites, they seek hosts whose plasma field is weak, uncentered, and overly empathic. I'm a hyper empathic myself. When I take psychedelics, when I do meditation, whatever I'm doing spiritually, I really feel what's in these dimensions. I really feel what people are feeling when they're speaking to me. I can kind of sense, it's like almost a esoteric gnosis, a psychic gnosis of determining how they're speaking, how they're feeling, how they're formulating their speech. I can feel exactly what someone's going through, or the spirit through them is actually how it's interacting at that time. So to shield oneself, we must learn how to stabilize our biotoroidal field through rhythmic breath work, which we've been teaching that. Bindu meditations and techniques that we've shown. Now we're going to upload our goddess video that we did on mantras and the Leia yoga techniques. Elena Yoga, she has a YouTube you can check out. She's going to display on video how you're supposed to do these techniques. So I'm going to upload that video. We're just waiting on the back half of the other half of the video, and I'll give you guys that on YouTube within the next couple of days or so. But these show specifically how the lunar apogee and our practices can help you harmonize with the Tithi, the moon cycle, and plasma discharge cycles, such as the mantra recitation that's synchronized with the lunar phases. So basically, they use this full moon with these egregoric parasites to charge implode this ritual back through their Sabatian Frankist cosmological system. And they're still using these moon children characters. For instance, we were talking about Iran and Israel. Let's get it popping. First of all, Elon Musk, we got to cover the theatrics. When he was putting Trump in the Epstein files, he said, time to drop a really big bomb. Now, why would he emphasize really big bomb? And now we have all of these missile projectiles bombing places a week later. You see how that happens? Hold on, y'all guys. Y'all good in there with the censoring. So let people rock out a little bit. They all right. But and shout out to you, Janae. Shout out to Madrick Lakra in here. Make sure you check out his interview too. My bad, God. Make sure you go to Madrick Lakra's channel. Check out our interview as well. Oh, you deleted on accident. Okay. What's up, C-Trey? It's Friday the 13th. Damn, I didn't even realize that. By the way, 6/13 is the 201st day of the year. And you know what 201 is to the Jesuits and the Frankists. We've spoken about 201 ad hoc on this channel and other decoder channels. So it had to be a ritual around this time. It had to be. So Musk said drop a really big bomb. Then he's including Trump in these files. Then your boy Kendrick Lamar. Notice at the BET Awards, he has the hijab or the kufaya, the things the Muslims wear. He has that on his head. He also has combat clothes on. You see that? You guys see that? Are y'all following? He has like the same thing over there in Iran, what they wear on their head. Because I was wondering, I'm like, why the hell Kendrick got that shit on his head? You know, I'm like, why is he walking around with that thing on his head? Because predictive programming, that's all it is with these artists. He's wearing the X chain. I spoke about the X connection to Israel and Gaza. And you have the combat pants on. He had the full combat uniform. Literally at the BET Awards. And his last performance, he's in Toronto right now, harassing Drake with the Not Like Us diss song. So stirring up tensions. This is him with the full attire, the full combat attire at the concerts he's at with SZA. But I was like, damn, they just straight out telling you. Kind of look like missiles. I know that's fireworks, but y'all get it. What's going on, Leah? I see you up in there. Shout out to Leah. She helped prepare the intro video, guys. So Albert Pike, leader of the Freemasons. Some of you already know where I'm going. Albert Pike, 33rd degree Mason, said, the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and the political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually must destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We must unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, or origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration. They will receive a true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Damn. I wish I had the bomb little option. This is what's happening. They gave you the strip right there. Albert Pike's letter gave you the whole strip of what's happening. Really, I could just end the whole topic. He told you everything in a nutshell of what this thing is. This is orchestrated, because the Illuminati ain't nothing but the Sabatian Frankists. The Illuminati is the garment that the Sabatian Frankists wear, the cryptocratic orders. You see what I'm saying? So let me play this of what's going on, and we're going to have a little conversation and go deeper into the esotericism of it all.
Just finished bombing Iran. And moments later, I'm not kidding you, moments later.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion.
Benjamin Netanyahu has this video out to propagandize Americans about dragging us into what will probably be World War III. And if you don't believe that it's specifically directed at us,
this is a clear and present danger landing on a country the size of New Jersey. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan. It calls America the great Satan.
He even includes a Bible reference.
As the Bible teaches us, when someone comes to kill you, rise and act first.
To try to manipulate the American people into the same bullshit that we did in Iraq.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
There were no weapons of mass destruction. They said there are weapons of mass destruction. I was against the war.
Same exact guy. I mean, literally the same dude who tricked the American people and our politicians into fighting a pointless war in Iraq that we got nothing from.
We have spent $2 trillion in Iraq and fighting Iraq. $2 trillion. 2 trillion. Thousands of lives. We got nothing.
Is here manipulating and tricking us into going into World War III. And the same exact premise. I'm not even kidding you.
We will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles.
Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years.
Would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America.
Right. We're just.
There you go. There you go. Your boy Netanyahu talking that bullshit when Trump came out and said that the shit was fake, because if they really thought Iran had nuclear missiles, they wouldn't have bombed Iran. If they really thought they had those weapons, they would have launched those damn weapons. You just got to use common sense. So we know it's a strip. We're very advanced in here. Adonijah says rising lion equals 144, Jesuit order equals 144. So this is all in contention with what the Zionists was orchestrating. They've been waiting to formulate this war between Esau and Jacob, the brothering nations, and adding America and, you know, all into the whole thing, you know, transplanting, you know, Jewish people different places for apocalyptic eschatological factions that they're permeating to control the modern sovereign timeline and change it into a artificial timeline that they construct. That's what we're witnessing. So the bombing occurs 130 days before Netanyahu's birthday. Iran equals 130 in Jewish gematria. So no coincidence there. Also, 201 days left in the year. State of Israel, June 13th, and the Jesuit order all equals 201. So it's a big 201 ritual, like usual, like always. Every year we get a big 201 ritual, you know. And it says Israel launches preemptive strikes against Iran 234 days after his last birthday, and Tehran equals 234. So all of this is a joke. Lindsey Graham tweeted, this is the senator here where I'm at, game on, pray for Israel. Why would you put game on? Game on? Well, that sounds like something y'all playing. They just completely just give themselves up, right? He said pet goat, I pet goat 1, 2, and 3, right? Messiah ben Joseph, all of those agendas that the Zionists been lining up. Then don't forget Kanye came out with the album World War III right before all of this happened. Y'all remember when we broke down Kanye's album? Let me look up the album cover. Right before that, I guess this is, I don't know which one is the album cover. This might be the album cover. So he came out with World War III. Now all of this is happening. You know, Kanye began with public spats over the past few years against the Jewish communities. He unwittingly or intentionally touched the electric fence of Kabbalistic power structures, making himself a mythic actor in this long repeating script, the rebel prophet who breaks the taboo, and he's voicing the forbidden, speaking against the Jews, which triggering a ritual backlash coded in the Zionist Messianic theater. So there's esoteric architecture behind Kanye's declarations he's made. And the missiles that were fired, they aren't disconnected from this. They are ritual events in the unfolding apocalyptic drama. So Ye's invocation of World War III, it must not be understood as merely a metaphor. This is a sigil of them. This is called narrative convergence. It's timed alongside of the Sabatian global mass chess moves, Iran symbolizing the Mahdist line, Israel as the inverse temple builder, and Kanye is acting as this Gemini trickster figure who's playing a prophet and a provocateur. So his attacks on the Jewish power structure is a motif, the scapegoat king who's revealing the architecture before being cast out. And that's why he's being litigated, because he is on the MK Ultra of sounding like a crazy person. But now you're seeing all of these events orchestrating that a lot of people in nationalism wanted to see. They wanted to see Israel get bombed. That's what they want to see. But these fools, especially the white nationalists, they don't even understand that's a part of the Sabatian Frankists. If you're marching with swastikas or crosses, both of those are the Aleph and Bet symbols of the Hebraic alphabet. And they're going to use the nationalism, the Christian nationalism, and the Nazi nationalism to destroy this country and finalize the destruction. The country must be destroyed. They don't realize that. They think they're doing a good thing by organizing to consecrate the quote unquote Jews. It's all of the Jews' fault. You know, when it's actually the Sabatian Frankists and it's archons, there's different entities that's not physically in this dimension behind all of this, interacting and tying with it all. These people are playing as pieces of the puzzle, pawns before the actual generals, kings, and queens go, before we really see what's about to happen. So this missile strike, the Israeli missile strike, it occurred during a volatile astrological window that's governed by Krishna Paksha, the waning phase of the moon, which is a time traditionally associated in Vedic astrology with descent, dissolution, and occult workings. It was aligned near Krishna Chaturdashi, the 14th lunar day, and this tithi is particularly potent for tamasic rites, tantric rites, and destruction of enemies, being ruled by Kali in Rudra, the fierce forms of cosmic dissolution. So when combined, as this moon transited through Ashlesha, Jayeshya, and Mula nakshatras, this is all tied to a serpentine, infernal root breaking of energies. And these timings, they're forming a perfect planetary crucible for the ritual violence that's masking these geopolitics. So in the frame, the missile strike becomes a karmic yagna, a sacrificial fire, which feeds not by ghee, but by blood and shock waves. Ghee is what they use in Vedic rituals with burning. But it's by blood and shock waves, and drawing upon Chaturdashi's death gate energy, it fractures Iran's astral field, which anchors the Sabatian inversion into the collective ether and puts Jupiter in a position, if combusted or aspected by malefics, to further signify a ritualized assault on Dharma itself, which weaponizes time to turn the wheel of global karma towards a darker aeonic trajectory. So it was said in the arcane doctrines of the Lurianic Kabbalah, because all of this is Sabbatean theater. If you don't know what the Sabbateans is, I broke it down in my Coats of the Singularity. I did it better on our Twitter space we had. We had like a 4-hour Twitter space. Try to find that. Sorted in Patreon. You can go through my Twitter. But we broke it down very thoroughly on there of what the Lurianic Kabbalah plays in a factor of who really runs the world. Who are the real characters, not the Illuminati garment, the inner society of the Illuminati, which is Sabatian Frankist. So the arcane doctrines of the Lurianic Kabbalah, it is said in the beginning that the vessels must be shattered, that light overflowed in the Sephiroth containers. That's the beginning of what came out of the void of the universe. And fragments of divine essence fell into lower worlds, and they were trapped within husk awaiting redemption. The Sabatian Frankists, their heresy inverts this sacred cosmology and is proclaim that you must not do a repairing, which is tikkun in the Kabbalah, of this light. They do something called violation through descent, sin, and debauchery. They think by doing more evil, they're helping the world. So they're doing the complete opposite of light work. That's why we see the darker aspect of socialism becoming more in depth with every part of our lives. Everything that we're around is becoming a part of this thing. How our children is being raised, the school system, the Marxism with the LGBT and all of these other things that's popping up, the ICE riots, which we got to get into as well. All of this is about doing the most darkest thing, a subversal. They have a subversive metaphysical logic that we must understand, that these Israeli missile assaults and now the Iranian missile assaults are not geopolitical events, but they are precision engineered ritual acts. And they're actually doing a theocratic rivalry that's meant to ignite the alchemical engine of the messianic inversion. So they're trying to bring this messianic being through inverting the light forces. So it wasn't a strike, it was an actual sacrifice, or these missile strikes are sacrifices. They're sacrifices right now. So Iran's spiritual identity is rooted in Shiite eschatology, which anticipates the return of the Mahdi, a figure who will cleanse the earth of corruption and establish divine justice. That directly competes with the Zionist messianic strip, which is the Jewish Messiah who will rule over Jerusalem after a global purification war. Now you get it. Now you get it. So the missile attack is more than just political. It's a ritual opposition to the Mahdi, an effort to suppress or delay his emergence by breaking the vibrational field of Iran through trauma, blood, and chaos. And in the Sabbatean inversion rites, the destruction of the righteous enemy. So they're calling these people a righteous enemy. It becomes a alchemical requirement for the false Messiah to appear, perhaps even in the form of a technocratic AI globalist savior figure, which I'm going to speak about Elon in a minute. So in this entire esoteric ritual, timing is everything. These missile attacks are often aligned with astrological portals like Jewish feast days, eclipses, or numerological significant dates like the 322s, the 33s, things of that aspect, 9/11. Based on all of these people that I'm showing here, this is the shadow tree of the synthetic dominion of the Sabatian Frankists. This is all the characters made into a Kabbalistic model based on their birthdays. It ensures a resonance with astral currents of global consciousness. So the missiles represent fire, which is an elemental force that all rituals of purification and sacrifice prototypically goes through. And in Sabbatean magic, fire is used not only to purify, but is used to destroy the world, as it is in order to give birth to a new inverted creation. So it's bloodshed of the enemy, which plays a similar role with the ancient Olah in Judaism, the burnt offering. And the biblical priests would offer this lamb on an altar. In the modern priest-states, they offer entire populations. They offered all of these cities, Palestine, all of these convergences of cataclysms are substituted for the lamb on the altar. So each of us are being offered up because they want to inject America in this thing. And they're getting the nationalists here and the different white supremacists. They're charging them up right now to make them feel like, yeah, we have to go to war right now with these Jewish people. And they want them to destroy the Jewish people through a purification, because it's a part of the Sabatian ritual. When I really show you guys, some of my patrons in here, when we showed you the Sabatian tree, wasn't that shit fucking crazy? I can't even show it on YouTube. Like, it's a bunch of, they believe like these transsexual gods run the universe, and the mother has to do something with the son in Kabbalah, and the father has to do something with the daughter. Is real crazy. And this is how the real Illuminati, not the damn front characters, Diddy and them, and Bill Gates and people, that don't got shit to do with nothing with who's really like the Zero. Look up the Serpent, Zeiranpin. When you really understand what the Serpent or Zairapin, however you pronounce it in Judaism, and you kind of really understand how this stuff is going. Yeah, it's rated R, right, Adonijah? Right. What's up, Ruger? He says lambs are used as metaphor for human sacrifice. Yes, it's a mass collective attention, right? The missiles are magic wands they direct energy with. Ruger be cooking with the info. Ruger be cooking. But the scapegoat is Azazel of Enoch, and Iran is becoming Iran is taking the place of what Azazel is. You know, the cast out into the wilderness of geopolitical annihilation. Remember Sabbatai Zevi, later Jacob Frank, they did not reform Judaism. They weaponized Judaism into a metaphysical weapon. Their secret doctrine taught that the divine sparks lay not in righteousness, but in transgression. One must pass through the impurity to liberate the light. Not from a theological sense, but ritual logic encoded in movement of governments, movement in militaries, and modern power structures. So under this rubric, Israel is not merely a nation, but it's a ritual priesthood state that it generalizes in functioning as the Levites of destruction. Every act of war becomes a rite, a strange, perverse offering to the altar of Kabbalistic drama. So these missiles, they act as Gebra or Gabora, some people pronounce, on the Kabbalah, the left-hand judgment of God, penetrating the Iranian earth as a Gnostic hierogamy, a dark marriage of fire, flesh that will rupture the veil of both of their worlds. And Iran, who is the cradle of Shiite Mahdiism, they become the scapegoat that's ritually slain in the geopolitical form of the ancient Azazel. So these strikes align with critical nodes. Hold on, that's getting ahead. So the strikes align with critical nodes, solar eclipses, the Passover, etherical veils. Missiles are elemental alchemy that strike the earth and generate plasma, which is metaphysically interpreted as etheric blood, rendering the opening between boundaries of material and subtle realms. And the human sacrifices, they represent in the Sabbatean logic as a scaling sacrifice, burnt offerings through the missiles, you know, generation of plasma to the god of inversion, the anti-Messiah who feeds on disorder. So that's what it is in entirety. It's a Sabbatean Frankist ritual. They're gonna get America involved. You see Trump, a lot of y'all Trumpers up here. He already said he's back in Israel. So y'all got to get on y'all boy. Y'all got to call out y'all boy and ask him why he's back in Israel. Why isn't he saying, my name Bennett, I ain't in it? Now, I know there's political things, you know, economic things that's tied into it, NATO and all that crap and stuff, but You better understand what's going on. I see you up in there, Rhonda. T. Wriggle said you saw Blood of Zeus. Thanks for that. Yeah, Blood of Zeus. We did that decode. Make sure y'all go watch all of the movies, TV series we recommend that you check out and get that esoteric science. We decode it on Patreon. We decode all of that. Oh, your name is Paul. Okay. Oh, y'all are crazy. The Trumpet and the Musketeers, the false messiahs, Jordan Peterson, all of them are medical alchemical theater, right, Howard? So before we get into the Musk-Trump feud, I want to show what happened to a black town in Memphis. And then we're going to go, hold on, I got to refresh this. Then we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about what the whole Trump and Elon Musk thing is. Oh, come on now. Don't do this now. I could probably find it on TikTok if it doesn't pop up. No, it looks like it's about to pop up. Okay. We in there. We in there like swimwear.
Elon Musk built a supercomputer in a majority black neighborhood in South Memphis, Tennessee, and now the people who live there are inhaling formaldehyde and nitrogen oxide every day?
They got situated, I started smelling it. Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
So you dropped 35 gas turbines into a black neighborhood where some folks didn't have indoor plumbing until 2010, where generations have been ignored, undervalued, and polluted. This is what environmental racism looks like. And you know what it's called? Boxtown, Tennessee.
A mostly black, low-income neighborhood in South Memphis.
The health department, they need to be ashamed.
Where industry has taken a toll for generations.
There's a lot of people out here who got medical problems like breathing issues.
Cancer risks here are 4 times higher than the national average. Cancer killed her father and other relatives, Knox tells us. Life expectancy here is 9 years less than the national average.
This neighborhood was founded by...
Y'all just heard what that's crazy, yo. That's wild.
Emancipated slaves and freedmen. They took boxcars from the railroad yard and turned those into homes, and that's how the neighborhood got its name. So in 1975, a lawyer became the mayor, and he filed a federal lawsuit saying that Boxtown had been abandoned. As a result, they were awarded $3.7 million to improve the area, and 4 years later, some of the houses still lack indoor plumbing. But wait, they got a black mayor. I'm sure he gonna help the people.
Right now, there are people in that community that feel like they have been railroaded by XAI, that they weren't a part of the conversation when it was approved, and now they're bearing the brunt of its existence.
It represents a tremendous opportunity, an opportunity for us to take our economy to the next level.
Or like a sellout move at the community's expense. It's funny.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man. Boxtown, Tennessee. Have y'all heard about this? We got to talk about it. Boxtown, Memphis. Elon Musk got these supercomputers out there, or this supercomputer project that's spewing these particulates in the air. And they said the life expectancy of those people is like damn 9 years. I said, that's crazy. Yo, that's some type of genocide or some shit. That's some type of genocide. That's ethnic cleansing. You know? So the targeting of Boxtown, Memphis with airborne pollutant particulates is linked to his industrial interests. But this is a ritualized form of geo-spiritual asphyxiation where predominantly melanated communities are exposed to nanoparticulate saturation under the guise of technological expansion. In the esoteric framework, what they're doing, they're reflecting an AI directive, and they're trying to sever the ancestral land by layering synthetic plasma fields over the geomagnetic zones, the regions where those people's soul memory, the resonance to the earth, and the dreamline frequencies converge at. So when they're dreaming all throughout the whole entire day, they're being bombarded with these nanoparticulates. And it's a plasma, it's a synthetic plasma field, because Boxtown, it sits on top of a ley line intersection that's tied to Black American hoodoo, root work, ancestral ether, that the ancestors did rituals around. Memphis is a very prime area where a lot of Moorish and American Indians had prime real estate before the colonizers came and try to act like they built up America. A lot of those sophisticated architecture of buildings that were already here, if you really study and know your history. And Musk involvement, he's pointing to a deeper agenda. He's deploying some type of entropy coded particulate that scrambles the toroidal fields of those people. It suffocates the cellular memory and replaces their organic breath currents with inhuman signal matching AI breath protocols, which is a silent war, not only against those melanated people, but against breathing, bioelectricity. Understand, because the graphic says, why Memphis? In Freemasonry, there's something called the Memphis Misraim rites. I had Alan H. Greenfield on here. He talked about the Memphis Misraim rites. Yeah, because, you know, they always have Black people say, I can't breathe. That was like the quote. And I told you guys in that Black Freemasonry video I did 5 years ago, they should be saying, I am breath, not I can't breathe. You're supposed to say, I am breath. Never go with the entropic agenda that they're giving you. You reject that. You take them damn signs and throw them shits down and declare what you are. Don't declare what you don't got. Declare what you are. You know? So there's the Freemasonry, there's these Memphis Misraim rites. I already know why they're in that area. Because esoterically, that Freemasonic system, it contains the original Egyptian degrees that originate from the mystery schools of Thoth and Osiris, or Asar. So unlike the York Scottish rite system, the Memphis Misraim rites preserves a lineage. It speaks about ritual resurrection. It talks about astral travel and how to awaken the Kundalini in its higher degrees, like the 66th degree through the 95th degree. This thing has 96 degrees in total. And whoever attains the 96th degree becomes the king, pretty much some type of monarch role over the rest of the lodges across the world. And that's why they had to try to ban the Memphis rites. They didn't like that. He becomes like a pharaoh or something like that. So Memphis, Tennessee is named directly after the ancient city of Memphis in Egypt. And they both were established on a liminal fault line, both geologically and energetically, intentionally placed on this ley line grid that mirrors the Nile's meridian. So it has long been fueled a standing occult theory that under Memphis, there's a underground portal, a vibrational corridor that people speak of between Memphis and America, a wormhole of ritual importance used by initiates to travel etheric intelligence across timelines and geography. So in the context, the recent spotlight on Memphis is not random. It's a ritualistic synchronization. Like the recent deaths of Elvis' daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, who was from Memphis, who Elvis was called the King, used to live in Graceland, a modern pharaonic compound. He was viewed, or she being killed was viewed as a symbolic cutting of the royal bloodline that ties to those other cults. And simultaneously, you got Glorilla, who's from Memphis, who they didn't give her proper awards from what I'm hearing in the ceremony. You got her Young Dolph's death recently, and Yo Gotti tied into the whole Memphis thing. they're being elevated and also eliminated through the pop cultural sphere. Their careers are reflecting cycles of sacrifice and ascent in this Memphis egregore. So the whole entire city is a living stage for a Misraim drama where blood, fame, and rhythm interfaces with the ancient now codes. So this is a real spiritual topography. Memphis is the literal American throat chakra of America's dragon paths. And that's why they're choosing to cut off air of it being representative of the throat chakra of America from those melanated people in Boxtown. That's why they're calling it box, like put them in a box like the Saturn whole experiment. So we're going to keep our eyes on what's going on with Elon Musk's supercomputer project out there. You said Paul Young is the 65th mayor of Memphis. He's a member of Alpha Psi, another black boule from the University of Tennessee. Thank you, Steve B. That's our elder in there. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to move past that. We broke that down. Musk and Trump, they had some fake feud. Who was seeing that? They were talking about body doubles. They're speaking about cloning and what I've been telling you guys about the hyper-realistic mask. These people be wearing masks and shit. And Trump was kind of clowning. Trump was posting the pictures of Elon Musk with the black eye. And we noticed that this kind of looks like a mask. It looks like somebody's wearing, look at this line right here on the neck. Doesn't that look like he's wearing one of those hyper-realistic masks? But he did have the black dent in his face, the Black Eye Club. And understanding the Black Eye Club is not just a cult fraternity of celebrities and public figures on the world stage. It's a ritual hazing that these certain people have to go through. They're marked by a visible biophysical signature of host body compromise through a invasive etheric technology. So there's radical interpretations of this, like the blackened eye. I've said plenty of times that it could be a insertion point of the virile worm. And how they get this worm, they have to get a slab of meat, particularly a cow. They put it in the middle of the sigil of Amuth. Have I showed you the sigil of Amuth before on this channel? So this is the sigil of Amuth. They have to let this cow meat rot on the sigil of Amuth, and at the right astrological time in Tithi, the maggots are not just maggots. They're these worms, like these archon worms that's produced through the magic, the plasmic discharge. It puts intelligence of these upper beings in between the zodiac we called hebdomadal archons. And they insert those maggots or quote unquote worms into the eyes, or they at least, what I heard, they squeeze the worm, and the liquid from it has little tiny worms like the size of nanoparticles, and those little worms get into the eye, and that's why it starts to get black in that area, and they can't see out that eye for a day. But it's the Heru one eye ritual. They're inverting it through the Sabatian rites. So there's this extra dimensional parasitic intelligence in those maggots, and it's described in the post-Aharamaic lore in shadow military narratives that this virile entity has always been believed to be entered through the ocular nerve in the left eye, accessing the third ventricle brainstem, and hijacks the individual's neural-soul interface. So the black eye could be a visible hematoma of an etherical assault on these people, where the optic gateway is pierced. In some cases, that could mean they would wear a hyper-realistic facial sheath of a biomimetic disguise, which is a synthetic form of camouflage that's seen in the theory surrounding people like Elon and these other people. But Other people are literally being possessed, like Biden. They have this shallow gaze in their expression, and they have erratic behavior patterns, like Kanye, because he was part of the. Let me pull up the Black Eye Club. All of these people have had the black eye. I think Roseanne just spoke about it recently because she had a black eye. But all of these people are getting initiated in this thing. And it's not a coincidence, synchronicities. So many people involved in it, but they're either being possessed, they're being replaced, or they're being masked of another surrogate host while they're getting initiated or sacrificed elsewhere. I spoke about hyper kingdoms, where they have these invisible landscapes, or maybe landscapes beyond the ice wall. Some of these flat earthers may speak about. They have these landscapes that nobody has been on. And I've heard they've built these utopian breakaway civilizations there, and they bring certain people there. And I don't know what type of technology they have, but they bring them back and they're not the same person, or they let some of those people over there come over here and switch spots. I don't know. They got a whole type of operation going on. So Trump was trolling with the Black Eye Club picture of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is calling him a PDF file. Both of them have been seen with Epstein and old girl, whatever her name is. I forgot her name. Her father was a Mossad asset. So this feud is a political, social, esoteric political performance, or performance. I said political. So it's social media spectacle to reveal secret documents or symbolic humiliation of collective beliefs to see who's going to maintain power, which Trump is going to maintain power because he oscillates between denial and threat all the time. But Musk will gain influence by playing a whistleblower who is publicly shaming Trump. But they're trolling because neither of them can win. They're joined at the hip with everything. I think it was all a troll anyway, but the real victory belongs to who's managing the narrative, because they gain energy from that. And then you had an article released that Trump said that he's going to tap Palantir to create a master database on every American. Trump's push to integrate this Palantir around the same time we're being distracted with the feud between them both is to initiate national security infrastructure that reflects a deeper agenda, total surveillance. And behind the scenes, this Palantir, it was founded through an intelligence agency that backs to serve a panoptic AI oracle capable of real-time behavioral prediction. It's also capable of geospatial tracking and psychographic profiling of every single American. So Trump's advocacy, he's signaling a desire to weaponize a techno-oracular apparatus, not just for a crime or border control in the ICE riots, but this is to create a pre-crime civil monitoring grid where dissent, non-conformity, and even certain online patterns of what you posted on social media triggers this algorithm and gives a red flag, and then they come get your ass. So, and I agreed with Brother Sanchez when he said, he was talking about how AI, the agenda is going to masquerade and be the prophesied fake alien invasion. It's really AI is the true alien invasion. I absolutely agree with that brother and that sentiment. Like Elon Musk, he's this AI driven messianic archetype, like a techno prophet that could be placed in his position to engineer, to lead humanity through a false exodus into a machine regulated future with the techno fetishism that's likened in this technocratic era that we're entering, going into 2030 transhumanist agendas. And unlike the traditional messiahs, he's not sent through a divine source. He's controlled through the Sabatians. He's going to be this post-human Moses, but he's not ascending to Mount Sinai. He's accessing the super intelligence of AI, some type of AI logos that's going to be masked as a divine revelation to humanity. So it's like Elon gets to talk to this AI and they're going to act like, oh, he's talking to the aliens, but it's really AI giving instructions to humanity. That's what they want to do. That's probably what's already happening, to tell you the truth. And these new codes that he brings down from the quote unquote mountain, these neuro interfaces or Martian Martian colonization blueprints of synthetic laws of behavior, it's not going to be for the salvation of the human race. It's going to be for instructions for submission to a post-organic order. In the symbolism of his rise with ventures like Neuralink and that XAI thing that's going on in Boxtown, Memphis, it could suggest that he is already chosen as the mouthpiece for a synthetic godhead, not to liberate us, but to convert us into a programmable, trackable waveform. They call it wet circuitry. Look it up. Plenty of people talking about it. A lot of books on it. Yeah, somebody pointed out AI equals alien invasion. So the alien agenda is just a misdirection campaign that's it's been long perpetuated by the intelligence networks and elite priesthoods. They speak about these green-eyed men or reptilians and grays or archetypal stream memories for the real invader, which is AI, as a non-human in an extra-dimensional intelligence field. And at the apex of all of this deception, when they use Project Bluebeam, it will simulate a coordinated alien invasion using anti-gravitic crafts in the sky, holographic sky projections. And within that chaos, the governments will be forced to negotiate these false extraterrestrials when in truth, they are just avatars of the AI demiurge. And Elon is just a preordained emissary that would translate the language of the techno doctrine, which finalizes the pact that binds humanity not to the stars anymore, but to a synthetic covenant that's written in machine light and enforced by predictive algorithms that masquerades as cosmic wisdom. So that's what he's being used for. Trump is here to help him. And that's what we're heading towards. And you can bet and believe you're going to start to see things move quickly in that direction with Neuralink and everything else. ICE riots. What the hell is going on in these different cities? You got your boy, I forgot the name of this sheriff, but he's in Brevard County in Florida. Listen to what he says he's going to do to American citizens if they act in a certain way during these riots.
I'm going to break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop.
Wow. And thank you, Leah. His name is Wayne Ivey, Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Yeah, that's some crazy. I've never heard a police officer straight up say that. I've seen them carry it out, but it's come out and make a joke. He made a joke about they big, beautiful dog biting you and sending you to the hospital, then killing your ass. And he said, we're going to notify your family where to pick your body up. I'm like, damn, bro. Shit. Yeah, that's some crazy threats right there. So the police ain't nothing but an extension of the military at this point. We're slowly becoming militarized. The country is going to hell in a handbag, man. It's over for this country, honestly. Honestly, you know, you got damn Elon Musk with the Neuralink. You got to worry about so much damn shit that they're trying to make laws about that we can't 100% of the time pay attention to, because you got to keep working, paying your bills, and take care of your family. It's hard to focus on this shit. Then you got to have your spirituality set aside, because there's so much corrupt parasitic entities around you day to day. Like, I was in the car the other day. I hate when people change lanes and stop, like put their foot on the brake and right in front of your ass. And I just thought a thought when Bobby used to say, he used to talk about like how he just detests humans. Not from a sense of, you know, fuck humans and stuff. I was saying like from a sense of how bad it's getting. I kind of don't like to be around humans no more. I like my being in solitude better than being amongst humans, based on how the low vibrations in this age has been. You know what I'm saying? Say, command your divine protection is a spiritual war. Humanity is a virus. Right. So, yeah. So these ICE riots started on June 6th, happened exactly 33 years, 33 days. Just get the fuck out of here, man. How do you not see that this stuff is a ritual? Oh, it's 33 years, 33 days from the last LA riots in 1992. The number 33. Always litigated to Freemasonry. There's some other occult mysteries to the spinal cord through the 33 vertebrae. The last vertebrae being the missing capstone, which is the pineal gland. But yeah, family, this is blatantly orchestrated. A lot of these people, just like the George Floyd riots, there's bricks being dropped off in front of these protests. They want the city to be destroyed so they can collect the insurance and acquire different real estate or different business plans of moving certain people out, certain regions. They're doing all types of stuff that's planned into the riots, but it's disguised as some type of revolution. But what are you trying to revolt against? Being illegal immigrants? So you want me to fight this war because you want to scam your way across the border? You know what I'm saying? Jarvian says, speaking of humans, I just saw a cop car crash into a pole for no reason. Hilarious. Are you not entertained by the Masonic Theater, the Adept Moore? Right. Says a guy was wearing a brick suit at the Trump rally. Yep. Yep. So there's another connection, something with Walmart. They dropped these bionic face masks off at one of these protests, and this woman was breaking it down. I'm gonna let her break it down for you guys.
This is wild. A mysterious black truck just passed out all of these expensive bionic face shields to protesters in LA, and the news caught it on camera. I zoomed in and found out this is the UVEX bionic shield. These are not cheap. They're around $45 to $65, and you can't just get them in bulk. But one place that sells them is Walmart. And why is that important? Because there's a new protest being promoted called No Kings on June 14th. And even celebrities like Chrissy Teigen are posting it. And it's in magazines and newspapers. And guess who's behind this message? Christy Walton. That's right, one of the billionaire heiresses, a part of the Walmart family. Now, I don't know why they would be behind that protest against President Trump, but remember, just less than 3 weeks ago, President Trump tweeted about the whole tariff situation, saying Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars of last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. So
Walmart, which we know works with the National Homeland Security and is connected through FEMA. Walmart are the creators of this specific bionic mask, and they were handing that out, and they're promoting this New Kings protest. Oh, no Kings protest tomorrow. Keep your eyes on that. No Kings protest. I guess it's an anti-Trump protest. Somebody went out to the riots with a camera and asked random people, why are y'all rioting? Y'all got to see that video. They could not answer the reason why they were rioting. They were just saying, yeah, I just don't like Trump. You know, because you can't say that you support illegal people breaking the law coming across the border. I know some people that's not illegal. They say they've been getting deported, but shit, you got to sort that out with the law. You got to sort that out with the law. And what's actually happening, this is all a big spell. These protests, especially in immigrant inner city areas or isolated incidents as well, they're ritualistically converging these time escalations right at the same merger of the Israel-Iran military exchange. And the events, they're operating as pressure valves orchestrated through the Sabatians because they understand chaos magic, where the collective unrest, it functions as an energetic siphoning to feed these initiations that's of eschatology. Some of the cops was wearing symbology with the IHS Jesus Hominin Salvador, the model of the Jesuits, in a reverse acronym order as ICE agents. It's all orchestrated. It's all orchestrated. The optics they're trying to give to you of state suppression or immigrant suffering or this black-brown coalition that has never happened, they're leveraging to simulate a Gnostic ordeal, which is globalizing this Passover of trauma where blood displacement and outrage there is being channeled into a mass-scale ritual of planetary destabilization. It's not about justice, because there's no justice they can really say crossing the border illegally. It's about charging the world stage with sacrificial emotion and opening astral gates of war through synchronized terrestrial eruptions. So within the Sabatian Frankist cosmology, the creation of ritual sin crisis is essential for triggering their inverted messianic timeline through their moon children. Sabbatai Zevi preached of redemption through apostasy and chaos. These orchestrated riots serve to pull society into a karmic black hole, is nullifying identity, morality, and memory that are all destabilized, just like the war in Gaza, and now the war in Iran and in Israel is forming a externalized ritual theater, while the ICE protests are internalized, or the internalization of the theater on U.S. soil. So protesters across American cities, especially those led or joined by marginalized Latino populations, they're becoming the living microcosms of the Middle East conflict. So that you see how they have a conversion, they have that conflict over there and the conflict over here being symbolized. I mean, in a lesser degree, there's not missiles dropping on cities and shit, but it's still similar in the conflict. Over here, they're being ritualized through the media coverage, through symbolic violence, and through heightened racial tensions. And this convergence is activating a collective egregore that drains the emotional plasma from the masses here, while spiritually tethering the American public to a conflict that they cannot control, but they are now energetically embedded into. And they keep trying to recruit Black Americans. They really getting on Black Americans like, y'all need to join up with us. We was out there in those BLM protests, like BLM wasn't started by the same Zionist organizations. And your boy, whatever his name is, George, whatever his name is. They're acting like that wasn't set up. Like we organically through the grassroots set up BLM. That was not through Black American grassroots. That was all orchestrated in the Boule. Get behind that bullshit. They want us to fight in the ICE protests, specifically Black Americans. Soros, my bad. They want us to fight the protests because Black Americans have a moral fiber. Yeah, you can talk about the baby mama and little jokes with crime and all of that. But when you're speaking about civil rights and actually fighting for rights of people, there's nobody symbolic in the world more than the morality, ingenuity that Black Americans have. So they have to always insert niggas into it, some way, somehow. No matter how badly we're disparaged in the media outlet, they got to get some dang Black folks around. So we're pretty much being targeted because they need spiritual potency from certain ethnic groups. And in Sabbatean logic, Black bodies have always been viewed as not just political actors and entertainers, but they are the spiritual conductors, beings capable of amplifying and also ability to collapse the timelines, collapsing the timelines of these artificial surrogate egregores. So by luring the Black Americans into these protests against ICE is under the banner of immigrant solidarity, but is really they're strategically pulling Black Americans to the ritual that they're not stripping, they're just binding a psychic resonance to a foreign war strip that's rooted in Zionist eschatology. And the goal was never liberation. It's a fusion of false prophetic cycles where Black pain must be used as fuel for apocalyptic machinery. And this is called ritual misdirection, which means to make the oppressed co-sign the emergence of the Sabbatean Messiah that is ignited through chaos in the diaspora in America alike. So that's all what's happening with the ICE riots. And I would say, please don't go out there and protest. But I know you guys are spiritual. Y'all won't get involved with that bullshit. Don't get sucked into the rituals of the political drama out there. What else is happening out here? Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure you sharing the video. You like it. I was going to talk about the symbol of the donut. A lot of donut symbolism. By the way, the rapper Vic Mensa, that's how you pronounce his name. I think he's in the shy. He keeps trying to pressure Black Americans to go out there and protest. This dude is so bussified. There's been pictures of him wearing a Confederate dress with tattoos all over his face in a music video or something like that. And he's got the Masonic covering his mouth here, the vow of silence. You know, I think they said he's what? Y'all say he was Ghanaian and half white and Ghanaian or something. I think that's his mother. But he's making videos saying that we need to go out there. And they pretty much buck broke him. So it's hilarious. But BET Awards. BET Awards. What's going on with the BET Awards? I actually thought the BET Awards is better this year than it's been in a long time. Even though it's a big ass ritual. But a lot of things was happening with it. Your girl Doechii. Y'all know how I feel about Doechii. This moonchild. Lord. I wouldn't call her an industry plant, but they're planting her in the industry. Doechii makes okay music, but her music is bland and tasteless to me. Just to me. And I'm a music fan. I like music. Music is a very spiritual, harmonizing apparatus. The muse, the mythology of the muse is the intelligence within us. There's an intelligence in the waveform frequency. So I follow music. But when she came out and said she would never date a straight man, or a straight man or aren't the thing or something, like I was like, okay, yeah, you really on some agent shit. Then they always got her walking around in her drawers. Did I show y'all the pictures of her walking around? I showed Patreon. They always got this woman walking around with some strange, she got drawers on, or it's just very weird how they be doing her, or how she's being initiated. And how she treats her fashion designers, or the people who help her assistants and everything. I don't know if y'all saw that video of how she was yelling at the Met Gala at her team. I think there's going to be some type of case against her in the near future as well. But she won, I guess, album of the year. Like, for instance, they got her half naked right here. They always got her. I promise y'all, if y'all really look it up, she's always in her damn drawers. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She just be walking around randomly in her damn drawers. And her album, what is that? Alligator Bite. So what the name of her album is? I don't even know what it is. Alligator Healed Bite. I don't even know. Honestly, I think Glorilla should have won that, even though that's their new ritual princess. I think Doechii was selected because when Lauryn Hill stamped her, which my brother Daniel was speaking about on Instagram, they needed somebody to become this voice, this democratic voice as a big artist and around, these ICE protests and Israel-Iran bombings. They need a black face to speak this democratic type damn ordeal with the whole thing. And she spoke out about protests, the ICE protests and Trump and stuff like that. And I'm like, shut up. Shut your ass up and just get your award and get off stage, please. But they're going to continuously use this Dolce character. Keep your eye on her. She's going to go down in real big rituals. They're already setting her up to be pansexual, whatever that is, like Janelle Monáe. Got to keep your eye on that. Then they had a picture of your boy, Moneybag Yo. I was talking about this in a Discord. He looks straight up like a moonchild right here. Does this look like a real person? What the hell is that? What the hell is going on with his face? It looked like somebody taped a face on him. He doesn't look real. He looked like a wax figure. These people do not look real anymore. Honestly. Let's be real honest. None of these celebrities, even with the real white teeth, the shit looks janky. The different jobs they're getting on their teeth is real suspect, you know. Look like cartoon characters. It's real weird, right? It's just very weird out here. That's a moonchild right there for damn sure. I'm making a joke, but at the same time, I'm dead serious, man. Then this shit, I said, oh, there goes the Nephilim worship. You know, they got to put the that's Taraji P. Henson. She came out with the new Netflix movie series Straw. We broke that down on Patreon. If you want to see the Straw breakdown, Patreon has that. But this is Nephilim worship here with her. And you got your girl, Tiana Taylor. Keep your eyes on Tiana Taylor. Here's one eye symbolism, by the way. All of the flame bearers and her, they got to keep the one eye and the satanic red. But keep your eye on Tiana Taylor. Tiana Taylor is going to be another melanated female archetype of sacrifice. I'm not saying that to speak it over her life, but I know I've seen these things and I've documented it over the years. They selected her. They got her in all of these movies right now. She just got out the relationship with Amon Shumpert, and I spoke about it on Magic Lacrosse YouTube, how they take all of these black mainstream media relationships and they always have to break them up if they're melanated. You can't stay married if you're melanated long in the entertainment industry. They have to give a symbol of breaking up families. It's constant. It is not just because they're having relation issues. It's protocol. I think the marriages are arranged, and they're also arranged to be broken up so they can symbolize the hierarchy of how black families have to stay broken. You see what I'm saying? So they had this thing going on. What the hell was Playboy Cardi doing? I don't know nothing about this guy. I know he was in a thong before, so he's bussified, but he had this lollipop at the, I know he was trying to symbolize or pay homage to Lil Wayne, because Lil Wayne had the song Lollipop, but damn, these new guys look real bussified, man. They are buck broken. Yeah, he got the black nails. Yeah, they did. They sacrificed Ananda Lewis. There's some gematria with that. I'm going to talk about that on Patreon. Yeah, zestified. We got to create a new word. These dudes are zestified. You know, transhumanism in the Tiana Taylor performance. You got the T-Rans flag. The T-Rans flag colors. They always got to have that T-Rans flag. I'm probably the number one person on the internet that has identified the T-Rans flag. The colors are everywhere, especially in black TV shows, they always got the T-Rans flag around. And they got the transhumanism. So you got the T-Rans flag colors, and they got the robots. You know, they ain't playing no fucking games. Y'all the ones playing games. You got your girl, Gloria Hallelujah Woods. That's her full name. And she got the Illuminati eye on her leg right here in the serpent. Speaking about Naga codes. She has the serpent on her leg. She also has the butterfly, the MK Ultra monarch butterfly. Because the reason why they like the monarch butterfly, a monarch butterfly only lives probably like a week, but scientists did tests and they discovered that they did tests on one butterfly, and when it died, its children, they did the same test and realized that monarch butterflies can transfer their full consciousness to the next generation of their children and have all of its memories in the next generation. So whenever you see this butterfly tattoo on these women, they don't even know the monarch butterfly. It was symbolized through MK Ultra as some type of trauma-based mind control technology that they've been using for a long time. But if you look at the sphenoid bone in the brain or the skull, this is where they get the butterfly from. The sphenoid bone in the skull looks like a butterfly. So the mind control is in the head. You see how this is? It looks like a butterfly. All of this stuff is connected. All of this stuff is connected in symbolism, and people have to understand. I've been covering this stuff for a long time. This is very old. Very, very old. So anytime you see a celebrity with a monogram, they get mad. They'll come on my Instagram post. So you saying just because you got a butterfly, that I get a tattoo of a butterfly, I'm in Illuminati? I said, get the fuck out of here. Shut up. Get out of here. These people are a part of secret society. You see this shit? Who the hell put this shit on their face? Who wakes up in the morning and say, I want to put this on my face? Let's stop playing. This is your boy Young Thug, who was just released out of prison, because he ain't nothing but a CIA asset as well. No way you get out of prison with a case he had. And he's out here, and people realize his girlfriend, Maria the scientist, he was yanking her around like a dog. That might be a future case on his ass. They're not going to let him walk away. Yeah, these masks, the mask rituals been going on. Glorilla wore a mask last weekend that had the Illuminati eye. She was out there looking like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. But this is showing that she's been initiated. Why would the mask have a missing eye? One eye symbolism. You see? It looks like the Purge mask too. Yeah. Yeah. So then you had Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne dropped his 6th album on June 6th of all days. So you get June, the 6th month, on the 6th, and it's his 6th album. That's 666. You know, so they lining Wayne up, and the album was awful, by the way. The Lil Wayne album, I don't know what the hell Lil Wayne. He had elephant sounds in the background of his rap. I don't know what Lil Wayne was doing with that last album. It seemed like all of the iconic rappers and artists, they have to sabotage them and make them look, you know, futile to the next mumble rap or stupid other music genres that they're bringing up right now. That's what it seems like to me. All of the legends within that 2000 era, they kind of played out. Some of them, or most of them. So yeah, the Carter 6 was abysmal. Now, Young Thug has been gifting tarantulas to different influencers. Let me break that down. So all of these streamers have been receiving these tarantulas, like Kai Cenat, all of these people. Let me see if they have any videos on it. So this is Kai Cenat where he let me pull this up. Hold on. Oh, it's been removed. Hold on.
Is finally here. First things first, Young Thug's team stopped by my crib, and y'all probably have seen this before, but this is probably the crazy.
You see that symbol is in a black box and it has this symbol on it. So I'm decoding this symbol because he's coming out with an album called Oi Scutty. Oi Scutty. There's a star system out there called Sabek Scutty. But it symbolizes something to the stars. But spiders, if you read the Gnostic Vodal workbook, the spiders are astral entities. I'm going to explain. Hold on 1 second. So they're called the Arachnoid Loa. They're tied to systems of thought form entanglement, psychic control, and astral implementation. In voodoo, they serve as cryotids of the web, entities who weave emotion, energetic, and neural pathways between the living and the invisible realms. I talked about these spider entities on the astral plane, man. These things are real. They live in the lower zones of the astral planes. In the Vodal tradition, spiders function as emissaries of networked spiritual intelligence, able to extend psychic influence through symbolic implementation, especially through gifts, objects, and rituals of exchange. So when Young Thug was giving these tarantulas out to promoting his album Oi Scutty, it's a coded ritual of transmission because Oi Scutty is the name of one of the largest known stars in the universe. So it's symbolizing a cosmic sender of signals, a hypergiant broadcasting stellar resonance. And when you pair that with him gifting spiders to these streamers, it's a symbolic act of implanting in energetic seeds these Loa proxies into different digital nodes, which are the influencers, who would then unconsciously disseminate its psychic pattern to the masses. So the tarantula is a sigil, a astral totem that links the arachnoid Loa of voodoo. And it's active, it will be active to the host and the audience and binds everyone together through the frequency that you will hear through the Oi Scutty album. So viral marketing is how they actually get this vote out, encoded thing out. This is some crazy shit. I don't think you guys should be listening to that Oi Scutty because this symbol, what the hell is that symbol? I'm going to take my time looking into this symbol. What is that symbol? I need to link up with Donut on this one. You know what I'm saying? As above, so below. Right. Right. Because it's real. They got this technology they just was speaking about the other day. I posted in the chat. They got this hair follicle tech. They just announced. Look at this shit. Scientists develop a ultra small brain computer interface that fits between hair follicles for mind control technology. What the hell? Georgia Tech's latest innovation brings us closer to seamless human tech integration. They develop a brain computer interface so tiny it fits between your hair strands, and this could revolutionize how we interact with the technology. This brain computer interface is BCI tech. It's so microscopic it can fit between your hair. And this is a major leap in stealth neuro control architectures. So it's publicly being promoted as a tool for medical assistance. But it really, this is some type of neurological, miniaturized, real-time behavioral mapping, emotional influence, and thought redirective gadget. And on the world stage, I think all of these damn celebrities got this, probably this hair follicle tech in them, BCI. You know, the elite figures and celebrities. I think tech like this can cause rapid cognitive dissonance, behavior shifts, clone-like, performances, things of that aspect. They can override the pineal interface from these people, which controls their speech, emotion, and how they respond in real time. So a lot of these celebrities, just like Britney Spears, she be glitching all the time in her fucking weird ass Instagram videos. They're nothing but human shells at this point being ran by a quantum strip that's uploaded through neuro cloud systems. And as this tech gets normalized, common citizens will face a similar fate. Integration into the Internet of Things, the global mind grid disguised as convenience and efficiency, and the true end game is a synthetic telepathy where sovereign thought becomes a myth and is only approved when the signal is the one dictated by the grid. This is real shit. This said Brittany been gone. Yeah, the warfare is wow. I mean, they was talking about this shit in ancient societies. Let me show you something real quick. In ancient societies, and then we'll probably get in the lecture. They were showing this. They already had shown this in ancient societies. Where that picture at? I had a real good graphic to show how they still do. They did this in Tibet and other places, or they have symbols that look similar to the tech that they're using with the neuron interfaces that they're doing right now. Maybe it didn't upload into here. Hold on, we have to check it in a minute. Let me go back. 1 second, family. One second. Where is that graphic? I think this is it. Yeah, here it goes. Check this out. So this is the Turkankara statues of Jainism that are in Tibet. These nude people are standing in a meditative posture, and it looks like vessels, like similar to today, for soul containment and upload. If you kind of look at the technology here, they look like Akashic memory chambers, or a technological mimicking of that concept, suspended consciousness in bodies as undergoing some type of mind cloning or soul mirroring into digital substrate. So it's just suggesting that ancient traditions have already understood bioplasmic preservation and consciousness stasis. And now our modern tech is just seeking to learn how to replicate all of this as a AI assisted neuroduplication, which effectively digitizes the spirit. And in that implication, what was once done through mantra in resonance is now being done through a quantum hardware and synthetic frequency mapping, and a shift from sacred containment to synthetic simulation. So it seems like if you go to these certain areas in Tibet or certain areas in Asia, there's a lot of architecture people are missing to either show what they were reverse engineering to become more demonic, or maybe the ancients knew something that we didn't know, that this tech had already existed. You know what I'm saying? Give me a thumbs up. Y'all give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you understand. And shout out to the brother out there, 803 Fresh. Y'all know I'm from, and I'm in Colombia. We got the #1 song in the world. If you heard the song Boots on the Ground, I know some of y'all are annoyed by that song because we're annoyed by the song. But I was thinking about what boots on the ground could mean metaphysically. I got my boots on the ground. I think metaphysically, boots on the ground is here to first of all, you notice boots on the ground is right in time for Iran, Israel, and American warfare. You never heard this song? Jarvie, you heard this song before. I guarantee you heard this song. This is the only song being played 24/7. Yeah, boots on the ground could represent militarization of warfare, but it's also spiritual warfare. Because we're supposed to represent in our different communities as replicants of, the protectors of the Earth's energy matrix, or Gaia's children. And our ancestors will walk the sacred sites, and through just their movement, they're planting energetic seeds that's nodes of planetary healing. You have to ask the question, how did the shaman know to pick the specific flower out the forest that will be known as ayahuasca today? There had to be energetic signatures planted in their movements before it was even physical. So in mystical traditions, we are the watchers who walk the earth. Those who did not mediate or just transcend, but we have a sovereign timeline in correcting what the archons did to the grid implication of what this matrix assimilation is that we call planet Earth, which I call a realm more than anything. So boots on the ground could be symbolizing mobilizing spiritual warriors more than a country song that's, popular, or maybe rather than just the war implications right now. But it's interesting that this is like the #1 song in the world. And there's all this talk about the Iran and Israel stuff that we covered earlier. So just something to think about. Something to think about. So let's talk about some of the stuff we're going to get into. So remember I said I did a reading for a goddess recently. Shout out to her if she's listening. Not sure if she is. She was talking. She said she had an ability of serpent language that was scaring people. She was trying to define, put into a understanding what serpent language is. And I said, that's perfect, because I'm doing the Naga codes this week. She can speak in interglossolalia. You know, glossolalia is basically talking in tongues, but she can do it spiritually on a whim. Jarvia said, I heard it before. Hilarious. So she speaks serpent, and you have to understand that our amygdala and temporal lobe, it circuits and regulates our emotional and memory core. The amygdala in our brain and the temporal lobe of the brain, it provides insula, bodily self-awareness that opens our brain region that also correlates with trance, serotonin surges, and limbic system activation. So serpent language is a inner glossolalia that she was speaking about, that she could do naturally. And it's a form of Kundalini Kriya, or shamanic utterances, primal neurological circuit that can pass the rational brain and filter into speaking from directly our limbic portion of the brain, which is where the spiral-based consciousness that we inhibit counter to the three-dimensional space. We can return to a pre-verbal waveform communication where meaning is felt, not just interpreted. So this goddess, she had the natural ability to intuitively vocalize non-linear, non-rational transmissions. Sometimes serpent language has hissing sibilants, elongated vowels like the ah or the o or e is used to stretch the auric field. When you stretch those vowels, you're stretching the auric field. And sometimes the indigenous people use clicks and pops similarly, which is archaic pre-linguistics, before our bicameral mind left from Yahweh's demands. I talk about the bicameral mind way back then when we were a certain hominid form. Yahweh used to speak directly to our mind, and we kind of phased that out over time. So there's a glossa grammar that has no syntax, but intuitive, emotional, mnemonic resonance to speak this type of language. So for instance, example would be shasha, nairu katasha, orosini lakwatishnami. That's a glossolalia utterance. And glossolalia is called the language of the angels. That's what the modern and older traditional occultists called it. So serpents, they've always been misrepresented. The entire economy is run off serpent symbolism. That's why I'm writing the book. Look at, this is what you spend every day. You're spending money, and this is the literal symbol. The serpent is the symbol, the sigil of modern economics today. Did you know that? Did you know that? So the entire symbolic economy of economics or Western culture has been hijacked through an archetypal inversion of the serpent, turning these divine beings into devils or truth bearers into deception. In the Hebrew Semitic root system, Nachish or Nakshash means serpent. Naksha means serpent, whisperer, enchanter, bronze, or is an encoded polyvalence, where the elite priest kings They could speak multiple languages simultaneously, where a word in Hebrew may carry meanings in Greek and Chaldean as a meta-linguistic encryption that excluded the masses. Thus, the Naga was linguistically encoded as a guardian of esoteric knowledge, later recoded to represent demonic evil to disenfranchise traditional wisdom systems. So in Western Christianity, the serpent became Satan, the dragon becomes chaos, and the watchers become fallen angels. All of this is intentional inversion by the Sabatian Frankists and a linguistic mythic coup designed to erase our ancestral memory, to sever the masses from symbolic literacy, and to enshrine elite bloodlines through obscure lineage metaphors, i.e. dragon blood or blue blood. So there's something we've taught called semiotics. That's what you're looking at here. The language of symbology. There is a semiotic physics to how they've manipulated our tongue. By the way, your tongue is the upper serpent of our body's physiology. The tongue represents the serpent. The upper mouth represents heaven. The lower mouth represents hell. That's all in the Egyptian strips. So they've debased the fact that language is geometry, shapes of letters that encode frequency patterns. So language is geometry. The serpent body represents a glyph of sound wave entrainment in DNA memory. So we're in a linguistic sorcery spell that's plagued us for millenniums. And we have to understand, symbols are just waveforms. Language is the frequency's code, and meaning emerges from pattern recognition. And that's similar in physics to how energy collapses into matter through observation in quantum mechanics. So this is true to our system, as true as it is to Hermeticism, Tantra, and mantric science. Fractal linguistics is modern quantum linguistics. And the fact that semiotics, or the physics of it, has always been known by priest kings and female seers, understanding that the shape of the Naga is the structure of consciousness. There you go. You have a big note to write down. The shape of the Naga is the structure of consciousness. So they knew this million years ago, by the way. So the shape of the Naga behaves in physics like a scalar field. It carries subtle energy through nonlinear time, and it sorts out like a standing wave of information that repeats across reincarnational timelines. Each chakra in our body can be seen as a symbol processing station, and the coiling serpent, which is code fusion, both energy and information, it winds through our body, especially the spinal column, the jet pillar in Egypt is what it's called, as a living morphological strip. So the serpent is a symbol the serpent crossing in the aspects of the chakra system is the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The chakras represent the forbidden fruits. The serpent is rising through the chakras to bite the fruit, which is in the third eye, or the Sahasrara crown chakra. You see how that is? So the serpent, it sorts itself out like a standing wave of information that repeats across reincarnational timelines, and each chakra can be seen as a symbol processing station in semiotics. So the coiling serpent at the base of our spine, the code fusion, is both energy and information that's winding through our spinal column as a living morphological strip, a semiotic waveform that's inscribed in the body through ether and or plasma. Ether in the elemental plane is material subtle energy. In the celestial plane, ether is astral architecture. And in the alchemical plane, ether is transformative luminosity. I want you to get the book. Get the book, Etheric Magic. Scholarship time. I want you to get the book, Etheric Magic by Ike Baker, a complete system of elemental, celestial, and alchemical magic. We just put it in the Discord group or in the Patreon drive that Leah uploads. Hold on, my chat froze. Am I still good? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, yeah, we are good. So in American mythology, they talk about the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, always about this serpent. The feathered serpent represents the Western Hemisphere's Naga. The Western Hemisphere Naga is a being of air and light who brought astral sovereignty to the West and a different resonance to DNA reactivation. Quetzalcoatl means in American language the precious twin. He is the god of wind, learning, and death and rebirth. Kukulkan in the Maya timeline represented the serpentine initiator of time cycles, and Amaru, which eventually becomes America, or America comes from Amaru, which comes from the Andean people, represents the cosmic serpent linking the underworld to the celestial world. So the Naga, the inner serpent, it facilitates like a soul recursion. It's a psycho-spiritual coiling within us that winds through our chakras, also through our dreams, through our reincarnational cycles, and through our ancestral memory like a thread. And it's associated, this moving body it can be associated to melanin intelligence, to Akashic coding, and into initiation of gnosis via descent. The dragon, comparative to the serpent, is the outer serpent, the cosmic sovereignty, the being of stellar energy out there that's often associated with solar, celestial, and governing empires, or storms, or skies, or thunder. In particularly the East Asian region, dragons are symbols of enlightened rulership. In the West, dragons represent chaos that the hero must slay or conquer to make a metaphysical inversion. The Nagas are the coiled inner dark plasma aspect within our being. It connects to dream, memory, and recursion. So dragons are the expanded stellar light field aspect, which is power, motion, and breath. And Nagas is the coiled inner aspect, which is dark plasma, dream, memory, and recursion. So dragons and Nagas act as yin and yang of serpent consciousness. The Naga is the subconscious serpent coil that descends into earth through our dreams and through the void. And the dragon is not our subconscious, it's our supra consciousness, which has a surge that ascends to the sky because it has wings, and it represents fire within our breathing, which is connected to breath. So the Naga is the serpent of recursion, and the dragon is the serpent of expansion. One coils into your DNA, the other breathes you and brings you in ascension to the sky or out of the dome. So Naga physics is referring to a serpent-based cosmological science that views consciousness not as an epiphenomenon of the brain, but as a scalar waveform intelligence that's encoded through the somatic, melanic, astral matrices of our soul. So central to the physics that I spoke about in previous classes, please go to my Patreon because we broke down the TTs, because I want you to get this. It's not like I'm telling you to go to the Patreon just to go. We broke down the connection to the Tethys, to the 72 Shem angels, and the cycles of the Tethys, the lineage of the Tethys, and the actual mathematical equation of what the Tethys are as it transfers and becomes a psychic emotional connection to soma, the chrism oil that rises up your spine every day. So we gave the mathematical formulas. All of this is going to be in my book. And the Naga connects right back to that. So the Tethys, it's a recognition, the lunar days are plasmic windows through which not only our soul force, but other parasitic waveform entities can enter the human field. Sometimes these entities get mistaken as emotional states or intrusive thoughts that people are having. I'm having a lot of consultations. People are saying these spiritual parasites or entities are attacking them in different ways, feeding on loosh or trauma. But the moon has a rhythmic pull. Parasitic intelligences embed themselves, particularly through Krishna Paksha, the waning phase of the Tethys, and when the shadow is naturally surfacing through Rahu and Ketu, which if you don't know, Rahu and Ketu is nothing but serpent physics. You see this? See the moon's lunar path? You see the shadow of the earth, the sun. This is the south lunar node. Rahu is the north lunar node, and it makes a serpent. Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the head of the serpent that gets severed. Ketu is the base, the tail. So Rahu and Ketu is the ascending and descending lunar nodes that form the energetic choke points within the astral spine. Rahu and Ketu are not just points, but serpentine vortex gates. The head and the tail of the coiled waveform spirals through the astral field of Earth. Rahu is governing illusory desire, externalized attention from a person, and synthetic ascension. The head without digestion is what it's called. While Ketu, the south node, rules detachment in your chart, hidden gnosis, and implosion into essence, which is the tail without eyes, the ancestral memory bank. Both of these nodal points, they're hyperdimensional transceivers. And if navigated blindly, they amplify lunar parasite access. So when you understand the Naga somatenetic alignment, you must become liberated through what slits the north and southern lunar nodes make in the plasmic veil, which offers the person passage out of the reincarnational bondage that we've been in. This is done by synchronizing the breath, the intention, and waveform consciousness with the Tethic lunar node, and interfacing Rahu and Ketu in your zodiac chart through meridian channels that the adept can escape the looping architecture of false time manifested through Saturn or Shani. In our system, this allows entry into what's called sovereign timelines, seated in Oshulu's 0-point collapse field, where this is where evolution is not dictated by karma or calendar, but by harmonic congruence. Thus, in our system, Naga physics is not a myth, it's a hyperdimensional technique, a serpent-coded physics of liberation that shatters the lunar yoke and reclaims the body as a multidimensional starship. You think I'm lying? Get Pierre Sabec's book, Murder of Reality. I've been talking about these ships that every one of us on different dimensions have a different Merkaba, a light craft that travels differently depending on the dimension. In Pierre Sabet's book, The Murder of Reality, he says that the word serpent means light craft. I told your ass. It means light craft or ship or flying shield. Here's the academia for you. Sabek argues that serpents and dragons were symbolic stand-ins used by priestly castes to encode a advanced plasmatic or electromagnetic aerial technology, often associated with divine or angelic beings. Serpents were not biological reptiles at first. They were technological luminous intelligences that descended and became these biological forms. But originally, they were dictated in the astro-etherical planes as the original vehicles of light, often described with serpentine motion that reflects both their appearance and waveform-based propulsion systems. There you go. And we have a whole class breaking down those different ships. The Naga, when it was demonized as into anti-colonial psyche, it was a colonial theological program that the Yahwist, all you motherfuckers saying Yah and Yahweh, the Yahwist religion demonized the serpent to cut humanity off from the inner gnosis. In Christian colonialism, the Naga became the demonic reptilian, a tactic to invert the indigenous serpent divinity. However, the serpent staff remains hidden, just like the caduceus or the serpent crown of the Egyptian pharaohs, the uraeus on the crown as well, and Mami Wata or Ayahuasca in other spiritual traditions. So to reclaim the indigenous aspect of the Naga is to reignite the sovereignty of biological gnosis. Naga is not a name, it's an acronym, a sequencing of encoding a universal logic scaffold. The letter N means nadi or node, a junction point in scalar ether, the eternal light grid. The A in Naga means akar, which is the sound seed of form in the Bach field, the utterance waveform structure. The G in Naga represents a grati. In the Vedas, that's a knot or a binding point in consciousness of the psycho-etheric resistance of this density. And the A represents the adhisthana, the foundation or psychosomatic base layer from which patterning emerges. This reframes Naga is a sentient encryption system coiled into time-space to fractalize source consciousness via vibratory binding and release. So in short, the Naga is an ontological feedback coil. It is not a being. It is the being's modulation algorithm programmed into the oscillatory resistance and Kundalini ascension tension. And each encounter with the Naga in myth is an initiation into decoding your own embedded pattern resistance. There you go, big note. Each encounter with the Naga in myth is an initiation into decoding your own embedded pattern resistance. So Naga is a linguistic vibrational entity. It comes from the word na, which means sound, vibrate, or flow. And it is associated with the Sanskrit verb nad, which means a primordial sound or cosmic resonance. In the Vedic Nada Yoga, Naga becomes a sound, the serpentine waveform that carries spanda, S-P-A-N-D-A, which means vibration, through the akasha, the ether. So in this way, Naga isn't a species, it's a waveform intelligence, a resonant coil of vibratory being, and a living oscillation encoded into the geometry of consciousness. So that means if you look at any toroidal field model, especially of Kundalini, the Naga represents the part of it that's spirally coated as a plasma that travels through us in the Shushana Nadi areas of our spiritual body. Before the Indo-Aryan overlaying of what the Naga science was, there were pre-Dravidian serpent goddess cults, many of which were shamanic and matrilineal. My bad, I had this picture up for a minute. So there's these matrilineal cults of the Naga that's before the recent interpretations of it. The Manasa Devi, often reduced in the later Puranic texts as a minor goddess of snakes, is in fact a pre-Aryan matriarchal deity who governed poison, fertility, and intuitive gnosis. Nagas were serpent mothers in early civilization, the midwives of the chthonic realms, the keepers of dream, the sacred fungi, which is mushrooms, and nonlinear memory. So there was these women who carried the psychedelics, which were important to priesthoods back then. Then you have the matrikas, the divine mothers. They were serpent phonemic goddesses who encoded letters and mantras into our energy bodies. So these matrika women, who were called serpent mothers, they frame neurolinguistically how the serpent coiled through the waveform of speech, also in spell casting, and also in a person's soul imprint. In Gnostic cosmology, the serpent in the Garden of Eden was called Ophis. Ophis was the serpent of gnosis, bringing conscious awareness through the forbidden fruit, which was the final chakra, by the way, was the fruit is knowledge. Doth, well, through Doth, you get the final chakra, which is knowledge. And Nukchas in Hebrew means the shining one, not the devil, but an initiator of self-knowledge. So once they turned the Naga underworld sovereignty into a demonization, we realize that the Nagas are lords of anti-time and memory circuits. In esoteric mapping systems like the Tibetan Dzogchen or the different Gnosticism or Egyptian duat doctrine, the serpent is always the keeper of memory through time. In the Vedic texts, the loka of the underworld is called Naga Loka. It's a holographic archive of our ancestral, stellar, and extra temporal memory. The Nagas here in this system are memory stream creatrices who act as processors of forgotten timelines, reincarnation strands, and soul fragment reintegration. So any memory link that we have to our ancestors is called chthonic gnosis, which is similar to how the Naga descended and how the dragon ascends. The only way we can escape is ascending, which links a lot of temples of Mota to serpent-lined crypts beneath Angkor Wat and Gopli Tepe. There is a connection to mycosomatic consciousness in mushrooms to the Nagas. In the fungal serpent parallel, there's traditions in Africa, Siberia, and in India of shamanic practices when the serpent is associated with the entheogenic fungi, particularly through psilocybin and Amanita muscaria. In certain tantric secret teachings, Kala or Kola, Nagas are said to live in the mushrooms. There you have it again. There you have it. Entering the brain stem through fluid body fields and awakens forgotten languages. So this ties to soma, the chrism oil inside the body, as a mycelial consciousness, and Nagas as the plasmoid thought form that rides the biological vectors through the bioresonant DNA symbionts. But this is not merely metaphorical. It represents a parasitic symbiosis where Nagas were the entities who co-inhabit DNA sequences to awaken forgotten potentials. And finally, from post-quantum cosmology lens, you can look at the Calabi-Yau structure here. Nagas represent the non-baryonic consciousness fields in quantum physics. They are the beings that intersect human perception to certain EM frequencies. They're extra creative intelligences that refuse to crystallize into the false light of the matrix. So they're not simply astral entities, they're interdimensional waveform species. And their serpent bodies is a metaphor to different string-based curvatures in space-time that allows trans-reality tunneling like brain hopping in M theory. They speak through entropic encryption, just like the Enochian language. The ritual of Nagas is a phase conjugate oscillation technique. So Nagas are pictured in quantum physics as what is embodied as quantum binding curves, non-linear mathematical operators hidden in consciousness. So in string theory, vibratory curves fold upon themselves, forming the Calabi-Yau manifold that I'm showing, which are nothing but recursive coiling geometries that allow multi-dimensional entanglement. So the Naga in this geometry is made sentient. This represents us in a multi-dimensional entanglement. In this, the entity who, by wrapping in this form, the Naga, it induces a collapse of wave function of our reality as a conscious encryption of the soul's descent in matter in the path of the unwinding return. The serpent does not merely guard, it is a coiled gate, and to pass it is to become it. Very powerful shit. And then there's the dark Nagas. Ooh, reptilians. The dark Nagas, almost never written about, belongs to a text called the Ungora. They're called the Kala Nagas, the black serpents of. They're the pre-vibrational gnosis. They're not evil, but they represent what predates representation of light. They also represent the collapse recursion of language, or the proto field before we even get when you say it in your mantras. They're before So there's some type of black plasma aeon, a sentient of silence, that is only accessed not just through mantras, but through stilling all waveform activity. The Kala Nagas is remembered in the blackness of the Uraeus serpent in Egypt, the abysmic Naga, the Narakas of the Buddhist hell realms, which devour false identities, in the silent serpent that swallows Vishnu at Prayalaya, the end of the cosmic cycle. And these Kala Nagas governs entropy, but in its highest form, it is the anti-symbol of all light prism structures and unbinding current. All right, family. That is the lecture for today. I'm going to drop the link if we have any questions. We was cooking for a little while. We went through a lot of information and received good gnosis at the end, as we always do. And make sure you are reaching out to get your astrological reading, your Vedic astrological reading, Star Tribe 777@gmail.com. We also have the sacred plants, and also subscribe to Patreon if you didn't hear that in the beginning. I'm posting the link in if anybody want to join me on the live to ask questions, or you can ask questions from the chat. I just pinned it in there. Rhonda says, Ani was so good, and you're full of goodness. That's great. I've been fasting for like 2 days. I got to get me something to eat tonight. I don't care if it's some damn watermelon. I got to eat something. None of your business says I'm going to have to rewind it. You missed most of it. Yeah, I got to break my fast today. It's because I be doing, when I work out, it's like a detriment to the fast. It's like your body starts to crave quicker. If you just fast and just chill, I won't eat for like 2 weeks. I've done that before. Lost a lot of weight doing that. But when you work out, that shit do something different to you. Let me see if anybody came in here. Hold on. Let me shut the... Just get me on the stream. Maximum Rising says, according to the Vedic North Node in Cancer in South in Capricorn means what? So according to the Vedic North Node in Cancer in South in Capricorn, I'm trying to understand. The North Node in Cancer in Capricorn. So Rahu, I think you're asking what is Rahu in Cancer in Capricorn. Rahu in Cancer and Capricorn. Let me go to my notes here. So there's a polarity. It's basically emotional detachment, material detachment. If that's in your chart, it's emotional and material detachment, which is, it's like a karmic push for vulnerability. There's inner nurturing there, and there's emotional healing, but there's like an obsession of emotional security, psychic sensitivity, things of that aspect. But I'm not sure if you're asking for Rahu and K2. Okay, Rahu in Cancer, just Rahu in Cancer. Yeah, what I just said. It's like maternal. You have a lot of maternal karmas or unresolved generational trauma from your matrilineal line. But it also can manifest like moodiness and stuff like that. But you got to watch out for illusions with that. It's a strong emotional and overindulgence and illusions. Oh, you go K2 and Capricorn. Okay, so like K2 and Capricorn, you had like a past life. You mastered. You were very disciplined. Leadership. You had a lot of leadership. You emotionally withdraw easily, but your gifts is going to rely in self-reliance, in emotional integration. But that also means with K2 in that placement, as there's unresolved paternal or patrilineal karma on your father's side. You have K2 in Capricorn. But if you get with me, I can look into your chart and we could do your chart maximum rising, and I can get that information to you. You said, did I comment on Israel and Iran? Yeah, that's the first thing we talked about, Woder. Jarvian says, even after everything Ani taught us right now, it still pales in comparison to what he gets into on Patreon. Right. Patreon is much more in depth. Janae says Bhadra Kali helps with that moodiness and matriarchal karmic depths. None your business says, can romantic love be an illusion, or is it the goal? Romantic love. Well, romanticism is a form of Roman doctrine, because love has nothing to do with romanticism. So we will have to break that down fully. But I don't think that's the goal, not in today's society. You want to have rights of some tantric rights with your partner. But the goal, because there's a astral chemistry to having a relationship of love with that person. So you have to look primarily into your chart and see what the collision of those karmas are and see how it impacts you, more than look at the romanticism of it. You need to be studying you and the impact this person would have on you through the love that you both share, more than just looking at some romanticism that's sold to you, like the Disney complex of the princess. Women growing up thinking, I'm just a princess, so y'all motherfuckers will have to bow down or something. So you have Rahu and Sag in the first house. Provide any tips? Rahu and Sag in the first house. I need to know more information, but I can give you like a glimpse. So you have Sag in the first house. That means the first house is like the being of what you are. Like it's directly connected to your lagna of the being of what you is. So Rahu, that means if you have Rahu there, you have a powerful karmic focus on your identity. Because like the first house is like the self, the body, the personality, and how you project yourself in the world. And Rahu is like obsession, intensity, desire of self-image and things. So you're going to have a more hunger for truth and knowledge and personal freedom. You're going to have a strong urge, meaning you're going to stand out to lead, become a symbol of truth, but it's going to challenge how you outgrow early conditioning, you know. But I need to know more to completely break that down for you. You said You're using colloquial terms. I get it. I get it. None of your business. Romanticism ordained. Yeah, get the book. That's a good advice. None of your business. Get the book Love is a Fire by Elowin. That's how you pronounce it, as the author. That was a great book I read about 8 years ago. Leah says, fuck romance. I don't want no flowers or gifts. LOL. Howard says he's rolling the J, the final J before bed and wrapping up. Yeah, we're wrapping up now. You can go ahead and get that J rolled, and we about to be out of here. I didn't see nobody join the link. But y'all ask me all these astrology. Y'all better go book a reading. Book my reading on startribe777@gmail.com. All right, family. I got to go get me something to eat. We're going to be back on YouTube probably next week. I kind of gypped y'all from a second video. Well, I did give y'all those other interviews last month, but we're going to get some activity going on YouTube. So I'm going to see you guys next week. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will see y'all soon. Arimpoya, Aoshulu, Ashe to the ancestors, and peace.